Well, first of all, it's an honor to meet you. It's was a real privilege to have a chance to get an advance viewing of the movie. I'll introduce myself a little bit, since you obviously need no introduction, although would still love to hear a bit of how you'd introduce yourselves. So I'm a blogger. I'm a professor at Butler University in Indianapolis. I teach religious studies, so I often blog about movies that intersect in some way with religion, and that's kind of the thing that I'm known for. But I'm also somebody with a great love for music, who, if I hadn't taken the path that led me to doing what I'm doing now, might have pursued and probably failed at doing something else. But my son is a student at IU now, pursuing, actually hoping to go into film scoring. And so
Oh,
stories
cool.
of music and people pursuing their dream are meaningful to me, personally as well as
Uh-huh.
professionally. And so that's sort of what I'm bringing to this. I have some questions, a few, but also really just eager to have a little bit of a conversation and see where this takes us,
Okay.
and
Sounds
give you a
good.
chance to say things that, if particularly, just to plant the seed now, if there are things that you really wish somebody would ask you, and nobody seems to be asking those questions, then uh, tell me what it is, and I'll ask it, or you can just answer it.
That's really cool. That's really nice. No one's ever said that, I think.
Yeah.
So I like that. So that's nice.
No. No, I'd much rather hear the things that you really are like, gosh, this is what I really wish somebody would give me a chance to say about this, rather than, But yeah, so let me start with, some of the, one of the general questions. One of the things that was, I think, the most moving moment in the film. There were a lot of them, but I just was really blown away by the fact that they actually brought you in at the end, right? In that
Oh
way.
yeah, that's pretty amazing, isn't it? That
Yeah,
Nancy and I are together on the ending of this whole thing. Isn't that incredible?
I mean, that was fantastic. So this
Yeah.
that's going to rank high in my sort of all-time favorite movie endings, I think. Yeah.
Really? Really?
Oh,
We were we honored. don't want to give away an ending if anybody's watching this, but yeah, we liked it. It was exciting because we didn't know that was decided after the director, who's also the writer and producer, heard the song. So we went to Nashville, and he was not there, but he was zoomed in. And when we came back to Washington State a couple days later, we got word that he wanted to bring the camera crew and film that ending scene. So with Joe and Donnie and I, and we were flattered because it had to do with that song. So we knew it wasn't like just being thrown in there because of the story. It was, we were in there for, writing this song that they were pleased with. So that was nice. Yep.
yeah. I mean, it was very cool the way they started off with the actors, and then it just sort of,
Yeah.
blurred into, suddenly we're seeing different people, and it takes a second, and then you're like, oh my gosh, this is the coolest thing ever.
Oh, that's cool. So it was a big surprise.
It was. No, I was definitely was not expecting that.
Good.
And
Okay.
it just, yeah, I think maybe that's one of the, maybe I'll ask that question now, because, as somebody who does, like, I do ancient religious texts, but I also do things about, like, religion and popular culture, science fiction films, music, those kinds of things. Uh, have thought a lot about, but also have a lot of things that I ponder regularly about sort of the relationship between, how we depict things in literature and film and real life and history and things like that.
Yeah.
And so this is, a rare opportunity to talk to somebody who's, to two people, in fact, who are the focus of a biopic, and you have this movie depicting your lives, and they always have that disclaimer, some persons and events may have been dramatized. And I think a lot, in the various things that I do, about the fact that all history, like anytime somebody tells a story about anybody's life, no matter how much they're seeking to be true to it, there's always selectivity. It's never the whole thing. It's never the whole person. And so, without going into more detail than you might want to about, what was true to life, where did they take liberties and things like that, just what's your feeling about turning a significant part of somebody's life, your own life, into movie? Does it work? Does it lose too much? Does it, I mean, it's a rare chance to ask somebody, are you satisfied with how uh, how at least this one particular instance of a movie, telling somebody's true story, actually depicted it on film, on screen?
Is that for me to answer?
Yeah.
Okay. Figured it was. I just want to be right.
Yeah, and both these any questions
Well,
are to whichever you want to answer
it's
them.
about our
right?
lives. It's about her and I both together. So I just want to be. Yeah. So, watching the film, it was. I mean, I've watched it like 10, 11 times now. It really makes me look at as if I'm having an out of body experience. It's like I'm looking at myself. That terminology where someone you pass on and you see your life story, and okay, why did I do it like that? I'm a kind of an eccentric guy. You know, I'm focused on music, and it means so much to me. And you can get caught in that whole realm of, oh, that's all that matters, and it better be like this and this and that. And to see that how I am, which that's how I am. I'm even that way today. When I play with Nance, I'm that way. We do our thing. I have to really look at, say, you can relax a little bit here, Donnie. You can relax a little bit. So this film is really real. It's true. It's true. The dilemmas I faced when the record broke loose and everything, and then being able to move on as well through the whole story. So yeah, it's real. All this stuff is pretty much real how I am. So
Yeah.
You want to add something to that? Or
Well, I've known him 38 years, so I saw a lot of stuff when I first met him that was just, I mean, Bill asked us questions. He sat there and asked Donnie and I in Spokane, Washington, flew there. He recorded our stories. He would ask, things. So he took in, considering, he still knew he had to make a movie and the audience would have to be very interested, because he had a lot on the line being a movie maker, but working with real people. So he really did a great job of honoring. He let us see the script and then make any changes. Then we saw it again the second time, make a little bit of changes. I was on the set quite a bit. We did the music for it. So the actors that were playing, we were actually the ones that did the instrumentation, some of the vocals. So we were hands-on with that. So Donnie was more in the recording studio, finishing the engineering and producing, where I would be done recording. And Casey was in our recording studio. Noah was in our recording studio. So it was a really nice thing at our house. So they came to our house, the studio. So they really got to know the real Donnie, Noah and Casey at the same time in the same room. Then we went to a location where there was live music, and Noah and Casey were there together while watching Donnie sing Baby on stage. And they're behind him. You got Noah and Casey. So not only was Bill honoring the true story, but here's two actors portraying him at the same time, seeing him in real time perform Baby. And we have footage of it. One of the producers filmed it. Casey's girlfriend filmed it. There was a kid, and I'm in the audience just woohoo, dancing with my friends and the producers. So it wasn't just the fact that Bill wrote a true story of the past. Everybody involved was continuing the real story in real time. And that's what was so interesting about all this. Bo was becoming friends with Don Sr. Selena was becoming friends with the woman Barbara who was playing her. I mean, this was the relationships were Jack and Noah were hanging out with our kids for like 2 months, skateboarding, going to movies, dinner. We have videos of everybody. It was just unbelievable how the true story was continuing. We just had breakfast right now with Bill down in the lobby of a hotel in New York City. And we're still talking about the film. We performed the song last night at an event on a rooftop. It's called the Rooftop Films right here in New York City. Bill was there. We did. So it's continuing. So we did When a Dream is Beautiful. So when the movie comes out, August 4th, which is tomorrow, the soundtrack comes out. It's like it's continuing, but they did honor it really well.
Oh, they did. They did. And when you see us, when my mom, I don't want to give it away, but the essence of everything is real. The landscape of the film is all real. That's shot on the farm. That's shot the home, everything. It's all real. It's just unbelievable.
Yeah, probably. I meant to ask before we started whether you're happy with for me to actually make the video available, maybe what I'll do is I'll
Sure.
could have a blog post. I've already written, review after seeing the movie. I just was, so moved. I was like, I'm writing down my thoughts right now.
That's so
Um,
sweet, James.
Oh,
That's awesome.
but then
Thank you.
maybe I'll leave a few days, after, just so it's like, and we can preface it with spoiler alert. Although, yeah, I don't think even if I knew that, you're going to make an appearance at the end, in real life, it still would have been a powerful ending.
oh,
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
pretty amazing.
yeah. Well, when I saw it, when you were, like, no, the drumming's just not quite right. I was like, oh yes, I could relate to that as somebody who, even just somebody just dabbles in music. I could, so. I was
Mhm.
suspecting that was probably true to life. I think a lot of
Yes.
people who
Yes, when I said
create
those,
music,
when I said those things, when I said those
all of
things,
it, that whole
it's
scene was
all
real.
real. It's
Yeah.
all real, you know?
Almost by wording, which is great because Bill did record us when we met him a couple of times. He had the
Mhm.
tape recorder there, and then we would forget the tape recorder was there.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh no, what did I say? Did I this what did we say? Because we're so passionate. We're passionate about our family. We're passionate about Christ. I mean, we're just passionate people. Prayer, forgiveness. We're very passionate. We
Yes.
get upset with each other. We work together. The family works together, but there's always
We want,
bonding after.
Yeah.
So we're very open. So when we were talking to Bill, we're just talking like we're doing right now with you. And then we see the film, and there's these wordings that we actually said in that scene.
Mhm.
And it's like, that was real how many years ago? And now we're seeing these actors saying it. And I used to have repeated dreams, like repeated dreams that I was going to be on a movie screen. And I would wake up and go, oh, that was weird. I was in a movie. And this has gone on for maybe, I'd say 30 years. And it was always a weird feeling that I saw myself on screen when I would wake up and I said, no. And so last night we're watching the film on the rooftop with like 400 people. And I'm sitting next to Bill, and Donnie's sitting behind me, and I hear Donnie sniffling because he cries every time we see the movie. And I cry too, but it really hits him. And I saw it on screen and I thought, this is unbelievable. And it's not an ego thing. It's not, for me, it's not an ego thing. To me, it's just so cool to share this with other people. The way you're smiling, for me, that's what it's about. That's what it's about for me, because I didn't make this movie. But how awesome for me to be able to enjoy this with him, his family, our kids, you telling us about your son.
Yeah. Well, Brian is warning me that we've only got about 3 or 4 minutes left. So let me ask at least.
Okay.
You mentioned, Christ and prayer being important to you, and
Yeah.
Those themes in the movie, it would have interested me as a religion blogger, but also interested to me, the one place where I really do stuff with music still is in a church context. And so, there was moments earlier in the film where it mentions, about your father not being, a man of faith, but then says, he believes in his family, which, doesn't specify what kind of faith. But then there's that moment, which for some people might just come out of the blue, but it just seemed like, no, this is what we do, where you just pray before you go out on stage.
Mhm.
And that was just really, I was just really struck by that, right? It's not heavy-handed. Sometimes you get in a movie where there's a theme of faith running through it,
Yeah.
but it's not downplayed either. It's just, this is who we are. This is what we do, right? If we're going out
Yeah.
on stage. And
Well,
so
we did it last night before we did the rooftop performance, and I was talking to somebody yesterday after the show, and we were talking about luck and talking about all these different things. And I don't believe in luck. I really don't. I believe in destiny. I really believe in destiny, that we're chosen. We're all chosen for a mission, and it is what it is. And if you see the film, you'll see that it's permeating throughout the whole film, the old culture of my mother in the film, because my mother's from Malta, and the history of that tradition of faith, family values. Forgiveness is huge in our family. Forgiveness. My mom's always saying, forgive, forgive, forgive.
And she always says, you try, you'll do better.
You'll do better. You keep trying.
You'll do better. Keep trying, you'll do better. That's her saying for years. You try, you'll do better.
But it's all around Jesus. It's all around the Holy Spirit. And it's something that it's been permeated in my life, my whole life. And so I was blessed to have a father like this and a mother. Yeah.
Well, before we run out of time, what's the one thing that nobody's asked you about and given you a chance to talk about?
Yeah,
that...
you could do that one, Nancy. I'd rather have Nancy do that one just because she sees things from outside what I'm going through at times, but I also see things on the outside on her too. But I can answer it actually. What I want people to take away that it's not.
Somebody hasn't asked us.
Oh, that hasn't
I'm
asked us.
trying to think.
Asked us that has
Although
not.
If somebody's asked you something before, but you really want to say it, that's fine too.
Oh gosh, covered so much. Oh my goodness, that have not asked me. I don't think anybody's asked me yet if the equipment is still out there and the studio is actually functioning, or is it just completely abandoned?
Yeah, I don't think anybody has asked you during the interview.
No one's ever asked me. And the plan is to
studio out there, still functioning.
Yes, it is.
Completely abandoned.
Yes, it is. It's still out there. It's still there. We're getting it up and running again, and hopefully for the future, it'll be a place for other people to enjoy what we've went through. Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. I don't know I definitely don't want to ask a question and then get cut off. So it's better to just wrap things up and tell Ryan that we're about ready. But this has been just such a privilege, and it's just, I mean, your appearance on stage at the end obviously adds a certain authenticity to it. It's like your stamp of approval saying, this is our story. And
I love the film, James. I love the film.
Well, I loved it too, and I'm just so glad for the chance to, not just hear, sort of a headline snippet of the story where you're like, oh, that's interesting, but to, just to get so much of the story that just had such a richness to it, and I was moved, I was blown away, and I hope the movie does wonderfully well.
Yes.
And I will do what I can to spread how much I found it worth watching and how much it's meant to me.
Thank you, James. Thank you, James. I love the way you just radiate.
Well, cool. Yeah, people do say I tend to smile, but it's definitely the fact that I have this privilege of talking with you about the movie that you that tells your story and that you appear in.
Thank you.
It's things like that make me think. You know what? I mean, being a religion professor who blogs actually gives you some really cool opportunities every now and again.
Yeah. Keep dreaming wild, because that's what we're doing. I mean, the whole family, his father's 92, mom's 89. They're like two teenagers right now when I see them. Every time they go to one of the screenings and talk about the movie, it's really neat to see. It really is.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I don't think he had a chance to yet. I was trying to, encourage him to come home and watch it with me and say, my son who's studying music. But I hope he'll see it and take some of his friends to see it. I'll tell him that, all you folks are doing music stuff, watch this. And so,
tell him that we asked. Donnie Emerson and Nancy Sophia Emerson asked that he go see it.
Okay. As soon as we're done here, I'm sending that message.
Yes.
Thank you, James.
Tell him, yes. Thank you, James.